Hello everybody, and welcome to the second episode of our four-part series, where we are learning about the Azure Health Bot. My name is Inat Grudaj-Delovich. I'm a program manager for the Microsoft Health and Life Sciences organization. With me today, we have Nihal and Fotini. Nihal, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Nihal. I'm a Beta Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I'm currently pursuing my BTech in Computer and Communications Engineering from MIT Manipal. I love developing awesome apps and websites. And yeah, that's pretty much it about me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Fotini.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Fotnisa Vidou. I'm a Microsoft student ambassador from Greece and I study electrical and computer engineering at Aristoteles University of Thessaloniki. I'm so glad to be here with you and I hope that everyone will enjoy our session about Azure Health Bot.
Great, thank you. So today we're really excited to be here. It's our second session. Last week we learned how to build your first Azure Health Bot instance. Today we will learn about language understanding and built-in scenarios that you can configure inside the Azure Health Bot. Next week we will learn some additional enhancements, so I invite you to come back. And in the last session we will talk about real-life use cases of the Azure Health Bot. The session today is live. Feel free to just write in any comment or question. We will answer those at the end or if we can as we go along as well. We are doing a walkthrough of our online learning modules. So please go ahead after the session and complete the entire learning module at aka.ms/learn. In the first part, we will go through module number 3, where we will talk about language understanding in the Azure Health Bot. So today in this first part, we will learn about LUIS, concepts like intent, utterances, and entities. We will learn about different language models and how you can add them into your Azure Health Bot. And we will learn how to integrate LUIS and Regex language models into your own Azure Health Bot instance. So the Azure Health Bot supports different types of language models. We have built-in language models that they actually come out of the box with your Azure Health Bot. And by default, they're already used to trigger some built-in scenarios. You can always reconfigure and remap them to your own custom scenarios, and we will learn how to do that today as well. In addition, you can build your own custom language model where you can actually train your own language models and tailor it to your own uses. So built-in system models use proprietary recognition methods. You can't edit the actual language model, but you can remap it to a different intent or to a different scenario. So the example of some of our built-in medical models, for example, we have the medical complaints model. This model understands when a patient complains about a certain complaint that he had. So for example, a patient may say, I have a headache. The model will know how to recognize that this is a medical complaint, and then it will extract some additional key information so that it can make a diagnosis. And this actually triggers our built-in triage protocol that we've learned a little bit about last week, and we will also learn about today. In addition, we have the medical information request model. So this can be used to understand when a patient is asking for information about a medical concept. For example, I could ask the Azure Health Bot for some information about diabetes. What are the complications? What are the symptoms of diabetes? And the Azure Health Bot will recognize this and know how to trigger the scenario that can give me the relevant information. We also have the drugs and medication model that can be triggered when we are asking, for example, what are the complications or side effects of taking Advil? This will trigger a certain built-in scenario that gives you information about this specific drug. So as I've explained, we can also use our own custom language models for the Azure Health Bot. One of those custom language models is the regular expression model. This is usually used when you want to understand a very simple and predictable command. So for example, you may want to understand the regex pattern of help, and that will match any utterance such as I need help, please help, and more. So the Azure Health Bot will know how to calculate which is the highest predicted match to the regex pattern, and will know how to trigger whatever scenario you have mapped to that. In addition, you can also create your own custom language understanding module. You can use LUIS, which is the Azure-based conversational AI service. You do not need to be a machine learning expert. You don't need to be an AI expert. LUIS can be easily used to create your own language model and input into it your own utterances, your own intents. We will learn about all of these today. And you can also learn a lot about LUIS by going online to aka.mslearn and actually do the complete learning path of LUIS, because it has a lot of capabilities. We will just touch some of these capabilities today and understand how to integrate them into the Azure Health Bot. So we will begin now a demo, and Nihal, do you want to take over and show our audience how they can actually set up these language models, how they can configure them, and how they can integrate them into the Azure Health Bot, please?
Yeah, sure, Anna. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, so
we can see that.
Great. So now we'll create a new regular expression model. So you need to be on the Azure Health Bot page for this. So as you can see now, I'll just type in greetings and the description for the language model. And yeah. And also as a regular expression, I'll just type in a normal hello regular expression. Okay, sounds good. And now for the intent, I will map it to an intent that has not been created yet in the health bot. So we'll talk about intents a bit later as well. And now let me just add it to the built-in greeting scenario, and I'll create it. Awesome. So our language model has been created, and now yeah, you can
Actually,
see
in this page, Nihal, you can see all the built-in language models as well, right? This is just
yeah.
users know where to go.
Yeah. So let me just type in hello, and yeah, that should yes. So that's triggered the scenario appropriately. So that's awesome. So our language model worked. Great. Yeah, that's it from my side, Anna.
Okay, great. And just one moment. So let's go back and continue. So we are going to do a short knowledge check, and I really invite all the audience to do this knowledge check together with us, answer as we go along. Nihal, I'm going to ask you. So Sarah has been having severe pain in her lower back recently. She's also been experiencing frequent headaches. She decides to consult an app which uses the Azure Health Bot to find the root cause. So which model would be best suited to handle this situation? Is it A, Regex? Is it B, the LUIS model? Or is it C, our system models? What do you think would be the right answer in this case?
Well, so first of all, I would like to say that Lewis using Lewis models, this can definitely be done. Uh, Regular expression models are more for normal normal utterances, like something like I need help or something very simple that regular expression models can handle. Lewis models can be machine trained to handle any pretty much any utterance, but I would go for system models for this, because system models have been pre-trained to kind of be able to figure out these medical complaints. So yeah, I would definitely go with system models.
Okay, and let's see what our audience has answered. I wonder what kind of answers we have received. So it looks like most have gone along with C as well. So let's see if that's the right answer. And C is right. So as we've explained, our built-in system models can already recognize medical complaints. So that's why we do not need to create a new LUIS language model to recognize this, and we can just go with our system models. That's right. So let's continue, Nihal. And do you want to walk our audience through creating the Lewis Conversation app? Maybe explain to them a little bit about Lewis, because I'm not sure everybody really knows how to use it, and how we can integrate that into our Azure Health Bot.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So again, let me just share my screen. So as you can see, we are on the page, the Lewis homepage, and I will talk through on how to create a appointment booking Lewis language model, or rather, appointment booking Lewis conversation app. So you need to be on www.lewis.ai to be able to create a Lewis language model. So yeah, so today, as I said, I'll be uh, talking you through how to make an appointment booking conversation app. I already have one pre-configured, so we can add it to the HealthBot later. So I'll just click on create a new app and just type in a name. So let's just type in booking, and yeah. So for the culture, we'll leave it as English. The description, I'll just type in a description there. um yeah, that's it to it. And now for the prediction resource, so you have two options for your prediction resource. You can either go to the Lewis portal and then configure, as in this Lewis portal that we're using, you can create it without a prediction resource and add it later, or you can go to the Azure portal and create a Lewis resource there and do it. So I already have created it on the portal, so let me just go ahead and use that. um yeah, okay, there we go. And I'll click on just create this. Awesome. Great. So our conversation app has been created. And now, so you need to keep in mind three concepts when using Lewis models: your intents, utterances, and entities. Let's get to utterances first. So what are utterances? Utterances are, sentences that you could expect the user to ask. For example, how do I book an appointment in this case? Or I would like to book an appointment with a physician tomorrow for my back pain. How would I? Can you book one for me, please? So stuff like that. So those are the utterances. And coming to intents. So what are intents? Intents is what your user is trying to say through those utterances. So when the user says, "I would like to book an appointment tomorrow," the intent behind the user saying that is that he wants to book an appointment, right? So that would be the intent. And then coming to entities are pretty much important pieces of information in your utterance that you'd like to extract. For example, when you say, "I would like to book an appointment tomorrow at 3 p.m. with the dermatologist," so the entities there would be, "I would like to book an appointment tomorrow at 3 p.m. with a dermatologist tomorrow." So 3 p.m. and dermatologist are two important parts you would like to get. So let me just create a new intent and create. So I just click on done, and okay, awesome. So let me just add a couple of utterances in for this, so we can just train this. Um, yeah. Okay, so I've added one. So one of our utterances has been added. Awesome. And let me just add another one. Uh, okay, awesome. So our utterances have been added. And now what I would like to do is, so as you can see here, you have your utterances ready. And let me just, I'll just go to the entities page. So let's add an entity now. We'll call it doctor type. So what we want to do is we want to kind of extract the important pieces of information, which would be doctor in this case. I'll select it as a list entity. You also have four other types of entities. right? So let's just go with list for now. You can read more about the other types on the Microsoft Docs website as well. So be sure to check that out. And we have created our doctor type entity. So let me just add in a couple of examples like dermatologist. I hope I spell that right. Great. And let me just add in one more. Um, Awesome. So let me just give synonyms to these as well. So when you add utterances, you can't expect your patients always to say dermatologist. They might say stuff like skin doctor or skin specialist as well. So we'll add in synonyms for these entities as well to be able to recognize these entities. And awesome, we've added our entities, and let's just head back to the intents page and go back to our appointment and awesome, as you can see, the entities have been extracted from the utterances. And yeah, so they have, so as you can see, these two have been extracted. And um, so let's talk about the none intent. So what is the none intent, right? So anytime you have your user saying random stuff, like say for example your user says, hey, I want to book an appointment with a hairdresser tomorrow, when it's a health bot, and the user says that, or what's the football score today. So you can handle stuff like that with a none intent. You can just map it to stuff that you don't really need, that random stuff that the user might say. So let's just train the app now on the utterances we have entered. Awesome, so the app has been trained, and I'll just test it with a few sample utterances. So let me just type in this first one. um, Awesome, so I think it's rightly classified it as the book appointment intent. That's awesome.
Seems to
And
work.
now uh, yeah, I'll just type in something random, and as you can see, it has classified this as a book appointment intent as well. So what happened here, right? So what happened? Why did this happen? So the reason is pretty simple. When you make a machine learning model, if you're familiar with machine learning, the more samples, generally the more samples your model has, the better it tends to perform. So here, because it has, we have just added two utterances, right? Just two examples. So there's no way that, it might really give you a good result. So what we'll do is we'll just help Lewis out a bit, and we'll assign this to to a different intent, to the right intent. Right? So I'll just click on the intent and I'll assign it to a new intent. So awesome, we have done that. We'll help Lewis out a bit, and we'll train our app again with these new changes that we've made. Okay, so our app is training and awesome. I really love the speeds on the Azure website. They're really awesome. And um, great. So let's just test it once more just to be sure. I mean, yeah. So let me just enter these two. Um, Type in. Okay, so I think it's rightly classified it now. Great. Well, as you can see, the accuracy is still, like, the confidence score is still a bit low. That's because again we have just two samples, right? So yeah, so great. So we've, I think, got these both right. Okay, so So I think what I will do now is, since our model is working well enough, I'll just maybe go ahead and I'll publish the model. So on the top right, I'll just click on publish and I'll push it to production, and done. Great. So now it'll publish, and it's published that quick. Awesome. And so what I'll do is now, let me just head back to language models, right? So what we want to be able to do is, we just created a book appointment language model, right? What our aim should be is for the user to be able to enter the utterance and get that language model. We need to integrate that language model in the Azure Health Bot, for the user to be able to use it, right? So how do we do that? How, Lewis to language mod to the Azure Health Bot? How do we do that? Right, so let's just head back to the Lewis homepage. And now what I'll do is, so we are in the manage pane now. So I will just go ahead and yeah, I'll just go back. So I've already created a model beforehand with enough entities and intents so that we won't have any problem while testing it. So let me just go and go to the under the manage tab. So I'll just copy my app ID for now and I'll head back to the Azure Health Bot portal. Okay, so I'll just create a new language model and we'll just call this as a awesome and I'll add a description as well. So you just want the type to be Lewis. So we also have Q&A maker and regular expressions. Regular expressions I showed you earlier. Q&A maker, we'll be doing it next week. So something to look forward to next week as well. And yeah, so I can just, I'll just select Lewis, I think. Yeah, I'll just select Lewis and I'll just paste in my application ID. Okay, wait. So the location, make sure you use the same location that Lewis is created in. And I just pasted my application ID. I'll head to Azure Resources. And under prediction resource, I'll copy my primary key. Okay, copy the primary key. And I'll head back to the HealthBot portal and I'll put that under the subscription ID. And I'll leave the other, fields as default and I'll just fetch the Lewis intents. So amazing. We have been able to get Lewis integrated. So the book appointment language model that we created in the Lewis portal is now in Azure Health Bot, and I'll just map that to a template scenario that I've created. Fortini will be talking to you about template scenarios later as well. So I'll just add that model. And awesome. So let's just test that model out on the web chat. And I'll just type in hi, just saying hi to the Azure Health Bot. And I'll just type in something like this. And yep. Awesome. So as you can see, it has rightly triggered the right scenario, which is the book appointment scenario. And we've gotten the right result, right? So that's awesome. So that's it from me.
Thank you. It's really awesome. So it seems like you can do so much with Lewis, and everybody can just go and learn more about Lewis and then integrate that into your own Azure Health Bot.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you. So let's go again to a short knowledge check. I invite all of our audience to join us on this knowledge check. Nihal, can you help me here? So
yeah, definitely.
Kind of fill the blank. So while blank are required, blank are optional. Would it be while intents are required, entities are optional? Is it while entities are required, intents are optional? Or are utterances required and intents are optional? So I invite everybody to answer. Nihal definitely went over this earlier today. Nihal, what is the right answer in this case, do you think?
Well, so let me just make it clear that utterances and intents are vital for your app, right? So the user, says an utterance and you need to find out the intent and trigger the right scenario. So utterances and intents are very vital to Lewis. But you don't have two options saying this and that are required. So one is required and the other is optional. So entities are optional when you create a language model. So I would go with intents and entities, option A.
Okay, that sounds right. Let's see what our users have answered. So I see that most have answered A. Let's see what's the right answer. So
Awesome.
while intents are required, entities are optional indeed. That's the right answer. Thank you very much. And we have one more question. So Nihal, what is the purpose of the non-intent? The non-intent is used when a user sends null requests. Or is it B? The non-intent is used to remove spaces or punctuation from the ends of utterances. Or is it C? Random utterances that do not map to any of your intents can be mapped to none. What do you think would be the right answer?
So, when you think about it, so first let's go into this perspective that none is an intent, right? None is like something you would like to recognize from a language model. So when you talk about this, the first two options, so the none intent is used when a user sends null requests. So that it doesn't really make sense for the user to send a null request in the case of the health bot, right? So option A, it can't be option A. And as for option B, the none intent is used to remove spaces or punctuation from the ends of utterances. So the none intent, again, as I said, it isn't a function, a Python function or something like that that removes spaces and punctuation, and it's an intent. So any random utterances that don't map to any of your intents. So when the user says, "Hey, I want an ice cream" or something like that, so you can just map it to the none intent. So the I think the right answer would be option C.
Okay. So let's see, our users, some actually answered B and some answered C. So we're just reiterating what Nihal just explained. So we use none to map any intent that doesn't map to our usual intent. So any random utterances, we would want to map that to none. We've seen an example earlier, and that is indeed the right answer, C. And we do have one question here from one of our audience, and that's asking if we have a language model to support adverse events. So I assume you're talking about adverse reactions to a drug or to a medication. If not, then you can connect me directly and we can talk about this. So as I've explained earlier, we do have a language model that supports information about drugs. So it would also include any adverse side effects and such. I hope I understand the question correctly. Feel free to elaborate on that question. At the end of the session, we can talk about that a little bit more. So we finished this first part where we talked about language understanding. I hope everybody now has a basic understanding of LUIS. I encourage you to learn more about it because it really has a lot of capabilities, and all those capabilities can be integrated to the Azure Health Bot. We've learned about the different language models that the Azure Health Bot supports. We should now know how to create the language models and how to integrate those into your Azure Health Bot instance. So again, if you have any more questions, you can raise them and we will go through the questions later on during the Q&A session. So that was a short summary, and let's go to our second part today. Today in our second part, we're reviewing module number 4. You can go to online to aka.ms/learn and complete the entire learning module. And we're actually reviewing that learning module, so feel free to go back afterwards and do it again from scratch and really, go into each section and learn about it. The objectives for today are to learn about built-in scenarios, identify what are the built-in scenarios that come with your Azure Health Bot instances and how you can use them best for your own use case. So we talked a little bit about scenarios last week and what are the scenarios, and let's talk about built-in scenarios. So built-in scenarios are either the built-in medical scenarios that we've also discussed a little bit, such as symptom checking or triaging a medical condition. We also have a built-in scenario for finding information about a certain disease or condition, or finding information about types of drugs, their side effects, or such built-in scenarios which are not specifically to the medical field, but general built-in scenarios, such as getting a user consent for using the Azure Health Bot, or typing in forget me and have the Health Bot forget your entire conversation because you may not want it to save your information. Of course, all of these built-in scenarios can be configured for different functionality and behavior, and you can actually extend and configure them for your own use case and even extend them into your own new scenarios that you can create. So let's go ahead with the Fotoni, and together let's test and configure a built-in scenario. Fotoni, do you want to show our audience how you can do this?
Yes, sure. Just let me share my screen. And everyone, you can open your own health bot and the website to explore the building capabilities of Azure Health Bot together. So Azure Health Bot supports both some building scenarios for popular healthcare use cases and some building commands that help users navigate conversation. So in our website, let's start with the first built-in scenario, which is the triage and symptom checking. In this case, the user describes a symptom to the bot. For example, let's try, I have a headache. And then the bot collects some additional information, such as the biological sex or my age, and some additional symptoms. Let's try fever and feeling sick, and weight loss. Now the bot assesses the reported symptoms and suggests how to react and possible causes for the problem. The symptom assessment section is pretty long and I have to answer many questions to complete the scenario. You can explore the scenario in your own health bots and see what is the recommendation of the bot. But for now, I will use a built-in command to force this scenario to end and begin a different scenario. So to end the scenario, just type cancel. And the bot informs me that this conversation has ended. Now, one popular use cases of bots in healthcare is to provide information about medical concepts, symptoms, conditions, and online medical resources. Just let's search for some resources about diabetes. I type information about diabetes. As you can see, the bot replies with a brief summary about diabetes and the source of information. There are also some additional ways to search for online medical resources. You can type what are the symptoms of diabetes. And you can also type resources for diabetes. And here you can see a comprehensive guide to diabetes, videos, tutorials, and other online resources. Our helpbot can also provide information about a type of a brand of drugs. You can use information about, for example, aspirin. And again, here's a list of links to online medical resources. So this is just a brief summary of all the available built-in commands of built-in scenarios of Azure Health Bot. Let's move forward and explore some built-in commands that help users interact with the Azure Health Bot. We have already used the cancel command to force an active scenario to end. Another common built-in command is the what do you know command to see what the bot remembers about you. And now, based on the information that I have provided to the bot in the first scenario, the bot knows my age and my gender. Based on the scenarios that you triggered, you may see additional information here. And if you want to delete all the data that the health bot has learned about you, you can use the forget me command. The forget me command deletes all the variables that the bot has associated with you and the conversation history. Now you can also leave feedback about the interaction with the bot by typing feedback. And you will see a nice feedback form. Let's try very satisfied. And let's try the bot is awesome. And now you can also request to view the terms of use and privacy policies using terms. And here's the link to the terms of use and privacy policy. And of course, you can specify your own links here, as we will see in a few minutes. You can also see the list of all the available built-in commands by typing help. The help summary is a configurable list of commands that are understood by the bot. By default, the summary includes system commands that are available in every HealthBot instance. But of course, you can customize the help summary using the configuration menu, as we will see right now. So let's close the website and go to configuration. And configuration menu contains detailed configuration items that control every aspect of the HealthBot instance functionality. The configuration items are grouped into three categories: medical, compliance, and conversation. Let's start with the medical tab. On the medical tab, you can configure the behavior of the built-in triage symptom checking and medical information scenarios. For example, under triage symptom checking, you can set a message when returning to triage from an interrupting scenario, or specify age range to ask about pregnancy, or configure the questions about symptom collection, symptom checking and assessment, and many more. On the medical information tab, you can configure the responses to questions about medical consent, conditions, symptoms, and online medical resources. These tabs configure the building scenario that we saw before in the website. Now, under compliance, you can configure topics related to privacy, security, terms and consent. The privacy configuration items configure how end user manages their data. For example, you can set a confirmation message that displayed when the user types, "What do you know about me?" You can also just hover over the eye and see a small description about each item. Security refers to the security settings of Azure Health Bot, such as you can set conversation timeout or require end-user authentication. And in the last tab, at the term and consent, you configure terms to meet legal requirements. And here you can set the URL for the terms of service and privacy policy. And of course, you can add some other configuration items. Now let's explore, and the last tab, the conversation tab. On interactions, you configure built-in scenarios that interact with your end users. For example, you can set a default reply for utterances that are not understood, or the default error or retry message. You can also set an automatic welcome message or an automatic welcome scenario. Let's click on this one and try welcome to our bot. Type help to see what this bot can do. Click on save and open the website again. And as you can see, this is the automatic welcome message. On the navigation tab, you configure scenarios that help user navigate conversation. For example, as I mentioned before, you can configure the help menu. You can remove items from the list or add new items. Let's try to remove the cancel command. Let's say, click on remove item and then click save. And let's open the website to see the changes. I will type help. And as you can see, the help summary has been updated. The first command, the cancel command, has been removed from the list. Okay, this is great, I think. And let's go to the spelling. HelpBot provides a built-in speller to pass all utterances through the spelling check before processing by the natural language understanding model. If speller is enabled, all user utterances are spell checked if they are not understood in their original spelling. So I have enabled the speller. Click on save and open the website to see how the bot reacts. I will type this white message which contains some spelling mistakes. And as we can see, the bot understands that I have a headache. I click on yes, and then the bot triggers the triage and symptom checking scenario. I think we can close that. And let's move forward to the last part of this demo, which is the human handoff. Azure Health Bot can provide the user with such support from live agents. For example, a triage flow can be handed off to a doctor or a nurse. On the human handoff tab, you can enable human handoff and configure handoff to live agents using Microsoft Teams or Dynamics. Configuration using Microsoft Teams and Dynamics requires many steps, so I will not show you in this session, but you can find more information on Microsoft Learn and Microsoft Docs. So this is a brief summary of all the built-in capabilities of Azure Health Bot. You will learn how to extend the built-in functionality of Azure Health Bot in the next session next week. And now I think we can go back to you.
Thank you, Fotini. So, wow, that's a lot of configuration. Again, you can find everything online. So I encourage you to go to aka.ms/learn or to the documentation of the Azure Health Bot and even play with this a little bit more on your own instance. Let's do a short knowledge check together. Please, everybody join us. So Fotini, which of the following scenarios is a built-in scenarios? Is it A, the HealthBot instance allows customers to schedule appointments easily and securely? Or is it B, the HealthBot instance provides information about health plan details, such as pricing and benefits? Or would it be C, the HealthBot instance provides information about medical condition, symptoms, causes, and complications? Which of these come built in to the Azure Health Bots?
So, as we said, there are three main types of built-in scenarios. Triage and symptom checking, providing information about medical concepts and online medical resources, and providing information about drugs and medication. So, let's start with the first option. Scheduling appointments is not a built-in scenario, but it's an example of a popular custom scenario. The second option, providing information about health plan details such as pricing and benefits, is not also a built-in scenario. But I think this is a great example of a custom scenario that you can try to build on your own health bot.
Okay.
This means that the third option is the correct answer. HealthBot can provide information about medical conditions, symptoms, causes, and complications. So for me, the correct answer is C.
Okay, so it looks like our audience is thinking the same as you, and that's C. And let's see what the right answer is, and that is indeed C. The HealthBot instance provides information about medical conditions, symptoms, causes, and complications. This comes built into the Azure Health Bot. Let's do one more question. Fotini, so if the user wants to force an active scenario to end so that they can begin a different scenario, which built-in command should they use to end the current scenario? Is it A, help? Is it B, cancel? Or is it C, start over? What do you think would be the right answer?
I think that the first option is of course incorrect, since the help command displays help items to the user and does not break the current scenario. You use the help command when you are unsure about what actions the bot can perform. Now, the remaining two commands, cancel and start over, are pretty similar. The start over command restarts the current scenario, while the cancel command forces the active scenario to end so that you can begin a different scenario. So the correct answer is B, cancel.
Okay, thank you. So let's see what our polls have answered. And it looks like our users have also said B, cancel. So it was a little bit tricky, but everybody got it right. And that is the correct answer. B, cancel, in order to end an active scenario so you can begin a new one. So in this second part of today, we've learned about the built-in symptom checker and built-in medical content and information that you can receive through the Azure Health Bot. We've also learned how to use the language understanding models that are already come built in to understand medical and clinical terminology. We're going to move on to our last part for today, and that's actually following our learning path. That's module number 5. I encourage you to go online and complete it later on. It has some more information as well. And we're going to learn what are scenario templates, understand uses for scenario templates, and actually import one of our more used scenario templates to your Azure Health Bot. So just a brief summary of what are scenario templates. The Azure Health Bot comes with pre-built custom scenarios that mostly have been authored together with some of our customers. So they really come from our daily use cases and are actually used by healthcare customers. These pre-built scenarios can be imported by just a few clicks. And so you can have your Azure Health Bot instance up and running within a few minutes and already come with this complex scenario that has been pre-built for you. After you've imported it, you can actually configure and customize it to your own use case. So let's see together with Foteni how to actually use the scenario template and how to go to the template catalog, see which scenarios are available, and we'll do an import of one of those widely used scenarios. So Foteni, do you want to take over and show them how to do this?
Yes, sure. Just let me share my screen again. And now I'm back to my Azure Health Bot in the main screen. And in this demo, we'll use the triage and symptom checking scenario and handoff scenario, which extends the built-in triage and symptom checking scenario and transitions the conversation to a live nurse. So all template scenarios are located in the template catalog. You can access the template catalog either via Open Scenarios template catalog or navigate to Scenarios template catalog. Here you can find all the available scenario templates and see a preview and a description of their behavior. Scenario templates are categorized in 2 categories: COVID-19 response templates and popular templates. For example, under COVID-19 response template, you can find the COVID-19 triage, which sets COVID-19 symptoms based on CDC triage protocol. This template has been developed in partnership with the United States Centers for Disease Control, or CDC. And here you can see the description, a disclaimer text, and instruction on how to receive update notification on the CDC protocol in GitHub, and a preview of the scenario. You can also find a COVID-19 frequent asked question template scenario. And again, you can see the description that this scenario answers a question based on CDC content about COVID-19, a disclaimer text, and a preview of the scenario. And note that if you want to import this scenario in your own Health Bot, you should provide a Q&A maker subscription key. Some template scenarios require some additional Azure resources. For example, this can be a Q&A maker subscription key or a Lewis prediction key. Let's close this one and explore the popular templates. One popular template is the mental health screener, which helps doctors share the PHQ mental health screener with patients through a Health Bot. You can find also the booking appointments template scenario that Nihal showed you in the previous demo, which allows users to schedule an appointment with a healthcare provider. You can explore more of these templates in your own Health Bot, and for now I will click on the triage and handoff template and then click on import template. I have to wait some seconds. Okay, so this is the designer screen where you can review the flow of the scenario logic and customize the flow by using the flow control, conversational or advanced functionality elements in the top toolbar. If you watched the previous introductory section, you should be familiar with the designer visual interface and all these scenario building module in the top toolbar. Now, if you missed our previous session, you can watch on demand or go to Microsoft Learn and complete the first modules of the Azure Health Bot learning path. I think it's time to test our scenario, so I will click on Run. And on the right on the website, I can type a message. For example, I have a headache. And you can now complete the triage flow, and at the end, the bot will ask you if you want to speak with a live nurse. And if the human handler functionality is enabled, you will be connected with a human agent. The first part of this scenario is similar to the building triage a symptom check scenario that we saw in the first demo. Now let's add the designer, and you will see that our new template scenario is displayed in the scenario management tab. Here you can edit the scenario name, ID, description, activate, deactivate, or delete the scenario. And of course, you click on the scenario and go to the designer screen to make some additional configurations. I think that's all about the template scenario. I just want to share with you just one last tip. And templates are a powerful tool because they help you build your own custom scenarios. When you import a template scenario, you can easily review the logic of the scenario, understand how it was built, and then use all this information to build your own custom scenarios for the health box. I think I'm done.
Thanks, Botany. I loved your last tip. I think it's a great tip. So new users to the Azure Health Bot can just go and import some of their templates and go along and see what building blocks have been used, and just kind of play with it to see how you can customize and build your own custom scenario. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do another short knowledge check. Botany, which of the following statements is true about scenario templates? Scenario templates are included only as part of the Azure Health Bot paid plan. Is it B, scenario templates enable organizations to quickly build custom scenarios for popular healthcare use cases? Or is it C, scenario templates cannot be customized or extended? Which would you say is true?
Okay, let's start with the first answer. Scenario templates are pre-built custom scenarios that are available in every Health Bot instance. They support in both Azure Health Bot Pay Plan and Free Plan. I also use a free plan and I can use scenario templates, so the first answer is not correct. Let's try the third answer. This is also wrong because you can easily customize or extend any part of the scenario using either the designer screen or using code. If you're familiar with JavaScript, you can experiment with the code. And so the correct answer is the second option. And scenario templates provide some for popular use cases. And as we saw, there are many templates related to COVID-19.
Thank you. So I see that actually all of our audience agrees with you, and I've answered B, and I'm really happy to see that because that's the right answer. B, you can use scenario templates to quickly build your own custom scenario for popular healthcare use cases. So we've learned in this module how to create your own Azure Health Bot by using the triage and handoff scenario template. And as Botany explained, it's probably best to start with some scenario templates to test out your Azure Health Bot instance and then tailor it to your own use case. You can also learn from the built-in scenarios or the templates how to author your own custom scenarios by going along the building blocks and really understanding how the flow has been built. And I think that's a really powerful tool. So I encourage everybody after this session to go ahead and import some more scenario templates. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience. I do see that we have one question, and I'm being asked, does this support Hebrew as well? So Azure Health Bot can be localized. It supports a multitude of languages. You can find this in the documentation. Hebrew is one of them. It does require some configuration. And the symptom checker, by the way, is also supporting some local languages. I think that Hebrew for that specific one, I don't remember if it's supported or not, but you can go and check in our documentation. But definitely Hebrew is supported and is actually used by one of the Israeli customers, or some of the Israeli customers are using the Azure Health Bot in Hebrew. Feel free to contact me directly on LinkedIn, and I can give you some more examples for that. Let's see if we have any more questions from our audience. I just want to see if anybody is typing in some questions. Feel free to ask. Again, feel free to contact us later on, ask any questions as you may have. Don't forget to join us back next week. We do have another interesting session where we will learn some more configurations, some more enhancements to your Azure Health Bot. And in the last part, we're actually going to have some of our real users, or our real Microsoft field that works every day with healthcare customers, and they'll talk about how our customers are using the Azure Health Bot. So don't miss that one as well. And I think that's all the questions we have for today. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing out anything. Sorry, I just did it here, and I'm just making sure we don't have any more questions. I think that's it for today. I had a lot of fun today. Thank you, everybody. You can find this online at aka.ms Learn Live. All the episodes are recorded. You can watch them later on. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nihal and Fortini, for joining me and being with us here today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.